what are things that should be said on social media, and what are some things that should not be said. I think your approach has to be if you're using social media for personal use or for business use. In regards to that, I think that if you are using it for personal use, I guess it's more in a friendly, laid-back fashion. And if it's for business, it should be strictly business. You shouldn't entertain your friends or anything of that nature if they are, if you're using it for business. What do you think, VJ?
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like he was saying earlier, if you have a page that's for business, it shouldn't be private. It should be open. It's not to entertain your friends. And on the other side, you shouldn't be using it as a diary. Right. Like you put all your personal business on there. I see people putting their personal information on there. You look at Facebook, I never was comfortable with that. You put in your name, you put in what every school you went to,
right,
what your degree was, what your study was, where you work at, where you currently work at. All of them like y'all crazy. Like I guess I have a conspiracy type mind. Like y'all really putting everything. Like I don't want you to know my every move. That's why it took me so long to get to Twitter, and I didn't understand it. It's like I'm not doing Twitter. Y'all putting every move on that. And then I really got into it and understood it. Same thing with IG. I just got IG. I really wasn't with the, all the pictures on there. And then you saw the catfish people doing. I think people just
don't got catfish.
I never got catfish. But you know what I'm saying? That's one of the the fears that you have. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But you can't even enjoy it if you have those type of fears about it. So you just have to just say forget it and just do it. But at the same time, you have to be cautious on what you're putting on there. Right, cautious about who you're talking to. Right. Cautious about the things that you're letting people know that you do.
Right. Well, some of the stuff is just unnecessary. So you have the girls that are complaining about their boyfriends. You have the dudes that complain about the girls. Then you got the people that go, well, I woke up, I had cereal, I washed my ass, I had to go buy toilet paper, and then I went to school, and I failed my test. Well, I think that's just annoying. Right.
I think that lends itself to the new culture of social media, which is if you have a lot of people that's paying attention, or if you think they're paying attention, and you end up just wanting people to know everything you're doing. Exactly. Because think about it, it's instant gratification with the things. It's instant, and that's what it is. But it's instant gratification when you have certain things on social media where you have likes and retweets and things like that. So people just want more of that. So
can I take this a different way real quick?
You sure can, man.
So, how y'all feel about it being when you have, say, a significant other, and you get into that when you may be commenting on another chick page, or she might retweet you and y'all laughing, and how you think that work, because that etiquette too matter, because that could change a whole lot.
Yeah, that etiquette change with the relationship.
Right.
If you get what I'm saying, it changes with the people in the relationship, because some people might find that like, no, I don't want you having fun with anybody from the opposite sex. You have people that's out there that's that bad, but then you also have people that are really laid back and it's cool if both of you guys have lives outside of that person that's in your life. So I think it depends on the person that you're with.
It's all like one too many pitch.
And it's all on security.
I think people who aren't in a relationship tend to use that as a tool to interfere with relationships sometimes. Because you could be having just a long day at work and be like, this is a long day. And they think that it's something between the relationship. Be like, oh, how you doing, baby? Like something like that.
Makes sense.
They try to fill in those gaps.
But it's always situation. It's always.
It don't matter out there that try. And that's the whole thing about putting your diary on social networks. You don't think it's females and dudes out here when you be like, I can't stand this dude. He never treat me right. Yeah. I hate him right now. You don't think somebody about to slide in them DMs real fast? You know what I mean?
It's all. I think it's
what he do to you, baby. You know what I'm saying?
It's all about each other in that.
That's why you shouldn't even put none of that on.
So Trey, what do you think about social media etiquette? And we'll end on you.
I don't have any. I just think my thing is business and personal. Just have two separate pages. Mm-hmm. Like I said, somebody always watching, so have some kind of, don't be uncouth all the time.
Some discretion.
Yeah, just practice a little discretion. That's all.
I have fun on Twitter.
I think to end this actual topic, I'm gonna say one of the problems that people run run into is that if they're using their personal social media, they tend to accept the people at work, and vice versa. But we're going to end on that. Our next topic up is the lack of focus on health within the black society. I think this is a real important topic, being as though, blacks are prone to different diseases and things of that nature. I just want to open up the floor about how do y'all feel about the lack of focus and, on health?
Man, I definitely start that. It's like, when you come up, especially in the neighborhood or just in black in general, when you're young, you fall, you get up, you go right back, to what you're doing. You tend to have this, like, I'm invincible kind of, like, personality where, especially I know me, like, I never really went to the hospital young. Any little scar, mother would say, go take a nap, what I'm saying, come back. That was, like, the story. That's how it went. But when you really break it down, man, it's so important for people to pay attention to that kind of thing. Because like you said, man, in black, our community, you got diabetes, high blood pressure, all that kind of stuff that plague us as black people. And when you don't take care of yourself in that kind of way, that's why, so much issues still reoccur generation after generation, man, because you don't put that time in to take care of it. Now, if you don't have health care, that's a different story, because the prices for medicine and things like that, these companies have a huge monopoly on that. I mean, it costs you more to save your life from a cold than it probably would for you to buy a car, you know what I mean? Something like that. So you got to take all that into consideration, but it has to be a priority that's put in you, because if it's not, you're going to think, I'm good.
Right.
Okay.
I think that exactly what he's talking about. So most of the time, if a mother has her children at a really young age, she doesn't have that complete mindset to always make sure that her kids are always getting their shots and things like that. And as you get older, as the child gets older, he doesn't have that focus on doing that as well. So going to get your checkups all the time. And then I think there's also another thing that we got to talk about, which is STDs and things like that. It's a lot of people out here that are kind of they evil Knievel out here. Just they starting like just like they rush playing Russian roulette. It's just like I'm just gonna do it tonight. I'm gonna be all right. And then what happens is when they wake up the next morning, they thinking like, damn, I shouldn't have did that, or I probably shouldn't have did that. Hold on, but that's before anything even happens. But now, instead of just running out there and actually getting checked, now they're afraid to even know if. Yeah. So then they hold off on actually going.
That's I think that right there that you just touched on is a big factor within our culture. Sometimes we are scared to get that news.
It ain't just us though, but it's
no, but I totally, and I think even within that, I think females are more proactive to go into the doctors more than males are.
They are, but that goes back to his invincible, because we do kind of feel like, man,
when you get a cold, I can speak from personal preference. I had the flu, right? It was almost 2 weeks into me having the flu before I decided, you know what, Aaron, go to the hospital.
Like, cause survive.
That's my point. I was like, we just Campbell's chicken soup. I'm gonna take this Dayquil.
Try everything you can try.
I was getting dirt. I probably spent over $100 on over-the-counter medicine before I was like,
needed an antibiotic.
Yeah, when I was like, you know what, let me just go to the hospital. But that's just how it is. I was just like, I'm gonna shake back. I mean, I was still going to work and everything, but that's just the mentality. Yeah. Man, you fall off your bike. First thing everybody say, get up.
Get up.
Exactly.
And then,
especially as a male, you're a boy, toughen it up.
Yeah, you ever also think about this, just like that same mindset that we have when it comes to just being out in the streets and the dangerous, violent Baltimore streets. We feel like it's never going to happen to me. Right. Like, it can happen to everybody else around you, but it'll never happen to me. Right. So,
my thing is this, I want to open up the question of how many, let's go around, how many people actually, go to the doctors is every 6 months?
So, or you want to start from the end?
Yeah, or just to play on statistics, how many people?
I do, but I won't go for things like colds and stuff like that. But
same thing. So I never go to the hospital for like when I got a cold or something like that, or even if I got something that's aching, like a back, something weird like that. I don't even go for that.
Take some Aleve,
but
keep it moving.
Every 6 months, I'm getting checked out for anything if I've been sexually active without protection. So
you gotta be, man.
Exactly, because if you don't, you get
What
that
about
scary.
you, Monique?
I mean, as a woman, we have to do our annuals, or we should.
GYN.
So that's
GYN.
I want to be
extremely
one of them when I
important that
came
we
up.
need
So I
to do.
realized I ain't one of them.
If I'm very in tune with my body, so, and also you guys know I'm Caribbean. If I feel any type of itch, something,
You know the remedies.
I'm thinking of something, some bush, frying it or something
knows the
to do
remedies.
something.
I can say I go to the doctors, to get, those checkups every 6 months. But I also go sometimes when I just know. Sometimes you just know when something ain't right. And I go to doctors, when I'm kind of worried about something. This ain't moving.
That's what
the
good
same
healthcare
way.
do to you, though. You feel the need to do that. When you don't, the problem is when you don't have that, and you don't, you're not exposed to that, you're a little hesitant to do that. When you get that bill from Sinai or from John Hopkins that say you owe us $10,000 from being in the emergency room for 2 days, that push you off from going.
It's like,
You know what I mean?
12,000 by
It does.
itself is
Yeah,
just a
you know what I
visit.
mean? Look, I,
Push the fence.
So, BJ, what do you
Start
think?
looking up them
I
herbal stuff.
definitely try to go at least 2 to 3 times out the year. But especially with playing, sports, we always had to get out physical and stuff like that. So it pushes to about 4 times. But I'm with you, like on the same way with, like if I always research things. I always get a second opinion about something. I'm always digging deep, like just finding new ways to do, not new ways to do things, but not the original way. Just to, like just
Even if
look
it's
at things.
cost effective,
Like I'm
they
really,
probably.
I'm really into the natural healing type
Right.
thing now. Like eating right, eating natural foods, fasting, and doing
You're
things
the
like
holistic
that. So,
type, huh?
huh?
The holistic
I mean, but
type.
It's really good.
Realistic
trying to
type.
look at
Preventative.
trying to look at the whole
But
thing.
that's being
Last
proactive,
gun
though.
failed.
I'm
So-
gonna tell you, I pay health insurance, so now the fact that they get my money every month,
You gonna
I
whenever.
go whenever. If I feel as though this cough ain't right, let me call this 2500. I need to see you, tomorrow. Like, I mean, I know that now because for everything, I'm like, my doctor cool as I don't know what now.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm gonna take full advantage of it because number one, they getting my money, and number two, it's just. I don't want my wife to outlive me. You know what I mean? Like I know.
Statistics prove that they
Hey,
are.
listen.
though.
Yeah.
One of my teacher told me this one time before. He would say his wife started eating healthy. You know what I mean? She started making salad, but she was still making him pork chops, chicken, and all that. He said,
she was setting them up.
Right. She said, he was like, you know what, Aaron? She ain't gonna kill me and spend my insurance money on some little young boy. So once I'm like, you right. You know what I mean? You gotta really take care of yourself, man, because if you don't, stuff like you gonna have your wife riding around. He gonna have you know what I mean? He gonna ride spinning your harnesses for real. You know what I mean? You gotta protect that, man. I don't want my wife to outlive me. So
All right,
that's
well,
how I feel about that.
I think we touched on some real important, topics. We're gonna take a short break. Then we're gonna come back with some more topics that I think you all should, listen into. So, with that being said, we're gonna take a break, pay some bills. Welcome back from the break. We great talk about the topic, who's more thirsty nowadays, females or males? Let's start with Monique.
Who's more thirsty? I think it's pretty equal at this point. I don't think men aren't doing the same things that women are. From personal experience, I know I've done some interesting things. I won't name,
You
specifics.
just say thirsty.
But
Maybe we should define it first.
I
because
think
that,
we should
okay, so
define
all
what
right, so
thirsty is.
actually, you know what? From a man, since I'm the only woman sitting here, what's thirsty to you guys in regards to a female, and then I'll be able to answer.
Woman can't
No,
be thirsty.
you can't cop out like that.
No.
Women can, yo.
I can handle it. Come on.
A woman can't be thirsty.
If I tell you I'm good and you still sending texts and calling, you thirsty, yo. That mean you still.
You're
checking
saying you're
for
good
it.
as far as what?
No, if I'm all right. If blatantly I say, I don't want to deal with you, or like we just not right for each other, or if you hit them with the "it's not me, it's you." I mean, it's not you, it's me. You know what I mean? Like one of them. If I tell you it's not you, it's me, and you still want to deal with me, you know what I'm saying? What that say about you? To me personally, I think that's like added to thirst.
No,
You know
I
what I'm saying?
think personally, to kind of tell you what I think about what you were saying was, I think misleading a person can cause a person to be thirsty. Me personally, in regards to thirstiness, I think people cover being thirsty with just, not being accepted, the proper way nowadays.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
If you like every one of my pictures on Instagram, you know what I'm saying, and comment like we know each other and we rapping like, oh, you know what I mean, send a little small like, I knew you probably was gonna be out here tonight, like little comments like that.
That's thirsty.
And
How's
you
that
knowing
being
I don't
thirsty?
deal with you like that, that's thirsty to me personally.
So
It can't be just showing love.
No, it's a difference. It's a fine line between showing love and you trying to make it seem like
So what? If
we
she like
interact with
half
each
the
other.
pictures and said half the comments, then it's showing love. Like what?
my issue is this though, like, why is it that when a person's being nice nowadays, females are quick to say a male's being thirsty?
That's how I feel.
That's what I'm thinking about. The definition of
It's all
thirsty
about
should
how
be.
you do it though. It's all about how you do it.
So this is what
Me
I.
telling you look cute, it's not me being thirsty.
And some females will
Then
say
you need
that.
to go about. Then that's the woman that you're going after.
It ain't gotta be about that. I'm
But
a
it
man.
is.
I'm going to acknowledge
I
if
hear
a woman
that
looks
all
good.
the time.
All right, so
I
let's
think
break
you
this
blah,
up a
blah,
little
blah.
bit. Let's break this up a little bit. Let's direct the attention over to this side of the room. What do you guys think?
To me, I mean, I see where you guys are going with the term thirsty, period. To me, the term thirsty, and I think the way that I would say women are using it more or less, is more about, a guy just, not just going after one female, but, you know what I mean, just always looking for some type of response from any female. So he's just trying to get that from anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. So, right.
He just on everything.
But the reason why, I kind of like this topic is because, well, if you really think about it, women are doing the same thing by the types of things that they post and the types of things that they do when they're out, period, that's trying to actually,
It reels them in.
it actually welcomes that type of
Attention.
that
Thirst
attention.
trap.
So,
Exactly.
right.
Thirst
So,
trap.
but to me, you can still call it thirst because they're still looking for that same type of attention,
I
that
see what
same
you're saying.
type
I agree.
of.
It's
you know,
thirsty on both ends.
Exactly.
But there's women out there like that. You
What
want
type
first
of
the thirst
thing-
trap, but then get
And
mad when
then-
you get all the attention from it.
Exactly.
Well, they just want to be able to say that to their friends.
Because
like,
it makes them
look what he
feel a
did.
certain
You know
way.
what I mean?
Exactly.
Right,
It
'cause
makes
to
them feel like they're on a pedestal
Yo,
or something.
to this day, I will never understand why women always take pictures with their ass first and then look back at the camera. Like, what are you know what you're doing.
My
So,
God,
I'm gonna tell
thing
you a
is this,
You
secret.
know what you're doing.
Go ahead. What's your
And
secret?
this is something that somebody told me, and I didn't really understand it until I kept going out to the club. So I realized women don't dress for y'all.
They dress because it's a competition between other females. I understand that, but my thing is
Depending
this.
on the type of woman that you are, because
Everything depends.
But my thing is this. My thing is this. In regards to social media nowadays, I cannot go up and down my Instagram page or Twitter page and count how many pictures of faces that I see nowadays. But there are numerous pictures of asses and hips.
But
That's my issue.
That's your choice. You follow them.
You can follow a whole lot, you won't see none of that. though.
Exactly.
That's your choice.
That is true, but that goes back to it being the type of female, like she said. Like it
I
does
understand
depend on
But
that.
my whole point is with the premise of you doing that. You say, oh, you know what, we out here tonight, or me and my girls having a girls' night out. But you posed on the point where you're not soliciting no other females. You
Yeah.
soliciting
The
dudes.
dudes, right?
Like,
The
you
attention
doing
from the
it.
dudes.
You doing it
So
to get
look,
the attention from
So
dudes.
look, in conclusion,
yeah, but
the way
who's gonna respond in a negative way first?
Females.
I understand that.
So that's some
So it's not.
We playing
You're gonna.
chess.
You're gonna.
right, like
Yeah,
No,
so
you're
it's-
gonna make sure you're right. You look right. Everything's right. Your nails right. Your hair.
Oh yeah, because I
your
can
hair's
lie.
right.
No,
If
but
I like you, I don't
listen-
care if your nails don't match and all that kind of stuff.
You don't care.
Hold up, but
I
y'all
mean, as
just,
a dude,
y'all just
I agree with you.
Hold on,
Females
pause,
on that
pause,
worst
pause.
chronic.
But y'all just touched on a different point, though. I think that draws regards on your confidence within yourself. If you have confidence
Very true.
within yourself, you don't have to post your ass.
Very true.
True
I agree with
statement.
you.
I mean, you could be doing it for the
But
vibe.
when you
Don't forget about the
True
vine.
statement, bro.
don't forget about the
People
vibe.
still
That's
got
a real
mine.
statement.
Don't forget about the
Yo,
vine.
the best thing I done heard, I was in New York. The guy said, he came with a term. I told him he should have branded it. Celebrity. You're a social media celebrity. That's all people are trying to do now. You're not trying to get no money. You're not branding, nothing like that.
Insta
You're just trying to. Buffy just had an interview, and she was saying like she's mad at the other little females out here now that what people pay for on her site to see, they're giving it away free. Like you can really be posting a picture of your ass. You turn around with the picture, and your caption gonna say, "Y'all like my painting on my wall."
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, you didn't do it for that. You get mad when you get somebody on there.
But they all in your
saying a whole bunch of that.
Buffy didn't get a real job, first of all.
But just because of
Her
that,
time passed. Buffy is over. Buffy era is over. Yeah, but thirst, I don't know. I consider thirst outside social media. Thirst, you know, it's been women do it and men do it. You send a message to somebody, hey, they don't respond. 3 hours later, hey, they don't respond. 2 days later, hey, next you know, you on a screenshot.
to me that's
Supposed to be.
to me that's not
Should
even
be.
thirst.
That's
That's like
thirst.
some crazy. That's crazy. That's going past.
But listen to this. Pause.
He did.
But what about if there was a general friendship and time progresses and then you just send a text
The
like,
friend will respond.
how are you?
If you
A friend
dealing
will
with
always
somebody or you
respond.
want to deal with somebody in a way like that, not only after a certain time of this friendship moment, you gonna make a move to let her know I don't want to be your friend. You know what I'm saying?
So now we talk
after
about
you
the
get to
friend
that
zone.
listen, all right, true. You can add it to the friend zone. That's true. Cause after a while of y'all having a nice friendly relationship, you gonna have to make a move and let her know I'm not gonna be in the friend zone.
What's
I
a
wanna
nice
see you
friendly
that.
relationship and what is the friend zone? Tell
No.
me what that is.
No, it's about what you want. So say because I agree with you 100%. We gotta be cool first before I deal with you. So after us going out, having a good time, laughing and all that, at some point I'm gonna pull you close. We gonna kiss. I'm gonna look, give you the. I don't want. Make sure you gonna make a move. You gonna make some kind of move to let her know.
Don't make it over here, but
Like you gonna make some kind of you gonna make some kind of move to let her know, you know what I'm saying? We cool, we can laugh it up, but you know what I mean,
You want more.
I'm not in the friend zone. You're not gonna friend zone me. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that go with it.
how can you end the friend zone?
You don't get out.
Once you in there,
Unless-
But it's not up to the man.
You don't get out.
To end it, yeah.
That's
it
like
just
It's
depends
always
on.
on the woman.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
But is it worth it?
Unless you pull yourself back before you
you
guys
try to
get to
friend
that
zone
point.
me, I'm gone.
But I mean, everybody
Period.
says
So would they look at you like, all he wanted was
No. See, that's
No, that's all she
perception.
wanted.
That perception right there is a problem.
That's all she
Because if I make a move and you say, well, all he ever wanted was to sleep with me, you know what I'm saying? That might necessarily be true. I kind of made him want to get to know you on a more intimate level. It don't necessarily have to take that big step there. It just lets you know that I'm not your homeboy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
But the whole point is that perception of you thinking,
But I think
all he wanted to
females
do
look at this
was
thing that you're drawing differently than males do.
We're
We're going to wrap up this topic. I think that, everyone had some good points. Let's jump into something different. Will racism ever end?
Whoa,
No.
serious
Of
topic.
course
huh?
not.
Racism does still exist. I have experienced racism my first time when I went to visit these two guys at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I went to the bar. Me being from Baltimore, I thought, going to a bar is going to a bar, get some, some drinks, whatever. But I actually went to a bar, and it was a door that you push in, and it was a big, 6'5" guy, bouncer. And he stood in front of the door, and I went to go push it, and he didn't move. He just looked back like, why are you trying to come in here? And I'm like, huh? Like, okay, maybe this ain't the place I should get a drink from. So I went to the next place, which was actual liquor store, and you know how liquor stores are. I went in there and I was looking around for a particular drink. The cashier said, we don't have anything that you are looking for. And I was like, okay. That was the first time that I actually ever experienced that. So that right there kind of was like, whoa, racism still exists.
You know why it will never end? Racism will never end off the simple fact like this. you'll never get rid of first impressions. You know what I mean? Everybody, whether you want to admit it or not, you judge somebody off their first impressions. And the first thing you judge off their first impressions, you have stereotypes that go along with that. That perception of that stereotype will always judge you on the strength of who you are, what you look like. You know what I mean? It's up to you to beat that, but you'll never beat. When first time a white person who hasn't been exposed to black people, you know what I mean? Like even with me, like at my job, right? Now I keep my bed just only because that's just something that I choose to do. You know what I mean? But at my job, everybody knows me. But before they knew me, it was always, oh, he's the aggressive black guy. I gotta stay out his way, whatever he wants. You know, that's just not bringing any confrontation. You know what I mean? Just because of the perception of what it looks like. You know what I mean? That's why it will never die. And at the same fact, it's so rooted in everybody. But even in this country, it will never go anywhere.
My perception on the reason why it will never, it's not even thinking about now, I'm thinking about 100 years from now. And it's something like Black History Month. Something like that we're so proud of is why racism will never be over.
Because we separate ourselves, right?
Exactly.
That's the same point I wanted to make.
Everything we do, it has to be separated, like or BET or whatever I'm saying. So you think about 100 years from now when you have that white boy in the room with another black boy, we talk about school, elementary school. Correct. We're not even talking about color at this point. Now he's asking himself, you could be the black boy asking about the white boy, like, why do we just have a month where we're just talking about black history? Like, what is the reason for that? Exactly. And then you have something, exactly. Yeah. I'm not a racist at all. I ain't grandparents, never dealt with racism, nothing like that. But you think about going to see Django or 12 Years of Slavery or something like that. The fire is ignited again, like. Yeah. And I think it's constantly. It's going to constantly be. It's all on the memory. Like 100 years from now, when somebody who never heard of racism, once they see roots,
it'll never die.
It's not even that, but you got to think about it. Once a black person has children, they're going to basically instill the same hatred or the same dislike.
Generation. Even if they don't teach them that, it's just little signs like that. So why do we have Black History Month?
And I think you just touched on a good point, because when I went to go see 12 Years a Slave, it was some white people in the actual audience, but after the movie was over, the black people was like, I dare that white person to look at me. And it was like, what's the issue? Like, they don't even have... Exactly, because it was reignited.
That don't mean nothing. Because people like that, though, they only motivated when things don't go the right way. If you feel that much anger and that much motivation after seeing a movie, you should feel that same kind of motivation and anger in everyday life. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't take for you to see somebody who was freed and was like, nah, you ain't free. You still a slave. Yeah. Like, it shouldn't take that for you to be like,
I understand
they
ain't
treated us right. And that's how it happens. You think about all of the incidents that happen.
It should not take somebody
like that trade.
It shouldn't take somebody to make that
those are the things that actually make the news.
Trayvon Martin, like, I mean, people feel a certain way for a point in time, and then it's like,
Well, also it's only when it makes the news as well, because that type of stuff is happening all the time. And then what about
the white cops that kill people in Baltimore?
Exactly, it happens all the time.
They never make the news.
It don't make the national news. You know what I mean? But another thing, I wanted to point out what you said. I completely agree, but just to look at it from a completely different point of view. So one reason why I think that racism will never end, or if it does get to a point or close to where it can, it would be if everybody was just completely open-minded about learning about the other culture. Exactly. So right now, just because there are differences and just because they're saying, well, I wouldn't do that because I'm black. You know what I mean? Like, just having those little differences.
We gotta accept the fact that we are different from everyone else.
Not just accept the fact, but just be open to learning the other culture and actually, you know, because then y'all have more in common. It'll be more of the same things, and then you wouldn't just look at them.
I saw a post last night, and this brings it back into reality. There was Cocoa Pebbles and Fruity Pebbles. Kyrie Irving was on Cocoa Pebbles, and one of the wrestlers, the Caucasian rapper, wrestlers, was on Fruity Pebbles. Mm-hmm. And it was like, you know...
But see, that's another thing that black people do, where we say, oh, why was he on that, right? But think about it. So if you were white, you would think, well, why did they put the wrestler guy on the gay-ass movie? Just stop thinking
once you separate yourself like that.
That's what I'm saying. It brought it back into reality.
But I'm going to tell you what's going to do it.
After that post, there was so many debates.
You're going to look at it like this, because
I got my grandmother
to this day would say, she worked as part-time. She's a supervisor nurse, right? She said she hate the fact that all the Spanish people come there.
Hate is a strong word.
And they, well, I put it there because she old school.
Okay.
You know, she say she hate. So, but the point is she has to learn Spanish now to accommodate the new generation. She doesn't like it because you come to here, this country, you know what I'm saying? Why can't you learn this language?
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean? And that already built a dislike in her because she's saying now I have to do something else for my job to accommodate somebody
I
else.
totally understand you, but
That just add on to the
Sorry,
right.
but what I'm saying is that's the direction that all businesses are going. Everything's going
Exactly.
Right.
multicultural, international. But to get back on topic, the whole thing is racism will never end because societal norms, people's opinions, and I'm gonna sum it up with social media, including the news publications, all that.
media.
Media. You get it. You watch the news. Yeah, Ladarius so and so shot so and so.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then that affects how white America views us. Right. Then in turn you see James Allen shoots up his family. That's how black people feel.
Right.
So I mean it's just synonymous across the board.
To end this statement, to end this topic, I want to ask the general question: is it an issue, being that we don't travel enough outside of what we're used to different countries to see different cultures?
No, because you come back. So I mean that's
exposure is
Yes.
good, but exposure is not
It's a
the end all to all.
Yeah, it's not.
percentage of it.
I think it's a major percentage of it.
I disagree.
It's not the end all to all.
It's not the end all to all, but it's a major percentage.
But you don't travel to Jamaica and go live in
But
a
me
hut.
personally,
You know
when
what I
I
mean?
travel to different
Like-
places, I make it a necessity for me to learn that culture, to see their.
All right, but here's
But you're
my
not
point.
learning that culture
Here's my
in
point,
5
Jay.
days.
Here's
I
my point.
understand
Right,
it,
that's
but
my-
I
that's
just
my
want
point.
Just the
to. I
difference,
want to
though, is
learn
something to
something
open your,
to
That time you been there, you not learn.
Nah.
You not out there.
You not learning. You experience
the
it.
culture. You having
But
a
experience is
moment.
part of it.
I mean, exposure is
Still an
key. But you having a
experience.
moment in time where you exposed to something else different, which will enlighten you and expand your mindset. But at the same time, what's embedded in you and what's already
It's
in
gonna
you.
supersede.
Yeah.
It
No,
one person at a time.
It
One
will.
person at
It's
a
gonna
time.
supersede
I think
everything.
what he's saying is true, and so that's why I do agree that the younger you are when you have those experiences, the
Right.
better. That's all I want.
Yeah,
Do
I think the
But
younger.
do I have to understand you to say you're cool?
You don't have to completely understand, but just experience them, right?
You don't have to experience nothing at all.
You just gotta
That's the
respect
open.
it.
That's what I'm saying. That's the
But
open.
if you don't have
So-
the foundation,
so
you
now-
can learn and respect
So
it. You
now
never,
we're
you
talking
never
about
will.
a closed-minded individual and an open-minded individual.
Well, that's what I said from
Because-
the jump.
But
That was
even
the whole
if you're
thing.
closed-minded and open-minded, like, do you have to understand that person
All right,
to say
so-
they're cool?
So let's
That's the
take it back.
racism part in it.
Exactly. So let's take it back to home. For most inner city youth, when we're in school, growing up in grade school, we always looked at the nerd as the outcast.
But
That's
that
it.
goes
That's
back
it.
to-
Cultures.
But it's okay. But growing
Not
up,
every culture is
That
but
the same.
growing up nowadays, we
That's a good
understand that it's okay to value your education.
Yeah.
That goes
Those are things that we really didn't value.
That's generational differences. I think
That's all it is.
That's generational difference because you gotta look at it like this. When we was growing up, you know what I mean. Ain't none of us wear skinny jeans. You know what I'm saying? One none of us out here. I never in Northwestern on 6900 Park Ice Avenue. I never would have walked in there with no little jeans on and some J's thinking I was cool. You know what I mean? But the fact that the generation has changed.
But to touch on
It's
that,
different.
though, when Lil Wayne first came out, he didn't wear skinny jeans, but now he wears skinny jeans, and now the younger generation thinks
Because
that
it's
it's okay.
drugs.
Exactly, but
He grabbed a chick to stay over his house pants one day, and that's how it
This
went.
might work.
Yeah, that's how that was an accident.
we gonna
This might work.
we thank you for tuning in and to actually giving us the time of your day to talk on these topics, and that's going to be the end of this show. But before we end it, we would like to open up audience suggestions of a topic that we should talk about next time. Is there any audience member that actually will want to suggest a topic for next recording?
So how do you feel about dating someone with kids?